So I spoke about my anxiety struggles and the process I went through with depression and the toxic habits I identified and all of that. And I actually watched the videos back again, and I've had a few months to, continue to grow. And actually I had a really amazing summer, which I feel reshaped my life to an extent. And the one thing I never had the courage to talk about or admit at the time of them videos, and only a very select few people know this, but to put it blunt, I had the darkest thoughts you can have when related to depression, and if you know, you know. But it's okay, because that experience has made me a better and stronger person, and I'll never allow them thoughts back into my life, and that's all because I didn't give up. And that's what I really want the overall theme of this video to be about, and kind of talk about the motivations, the habits, and the ways that I found really helped me to just keep fighting and not give in to those demons of anxiety and depression, and to overcome them. So here goes. So like I said before, I hated myself. I was in an absolute black hole of despair, and not only had I hurt myself, not physically, emotionally, I'd hurt others emotionally, like I said, pushing them away, and upset people and so forth. And I really, really couldn't live with myself for it when I realised what had happened. And I truly didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't recognise myself in the mirror, and this is where I found, I was putting myself in dangerous situations. For example, I was driving along the highways or motorways, without a seatbelt. I was on antidepressants at one point, and I think the general rule of thumb is don't drink when you're on them, and I did. This led to me, I got my nose broke, and it got to the point where this stuff had gone on for so long, where I realised just one day that actually, you know what, I'm incredibly lucky to be here, and I'm actually incredibly lucky that I'm okay right now. Obviously I wasn't okay mentally, but physically I was fine. And I was like, I'm seriously being incredibly selfish right now. And the way I was acting in regards to my family, my friends, my loved ones, it had to stop. Something had to change. I had to fight back. I couldn't keep being like this. Now, I think a huge issue for people suffering with depression is that I believe they feel, or this is how I felt, I'm not sure about everyone, but this is how I felt, they feel like they have no purpose. And like I said before, not only did I feel like I had no purpose, but I felt like I'd lost joy in everything, whether that was sport, loved ones, even being in my favourite place in the world, being in the States, whether I was at home or away, no matter where I was, nothing was enough for me to get me out of that hole. Now, I've never really been close to religion or understanding the meaning of life or anything like that, so it was really difficult at first to find a reason to fight. And like I said, I truly hate myself, and I wasn't going to do it for myself, because I'd hurt people I loved, I'd upset my family, I'd made friends worry, and I'm going to be honest. And as a word of warning for anyone who's thinking that this illness will just go away and pass without doing anything, by the time it had reached over 6 months of being in this place mentally, I ended up losing what I consider was the best thing that ever happened to me, and I hated myself for it. Truly hated myself for it. And it was a realisation that this was something that, and still is something, I'm probably going to regret for the rest of my life. So the penny dropped. If I wasn't going to do this for myself, if I wasn't going to fight for myself, I was going to do it for the people I loved as well as the people I lost. That they were going to be my driving force, that they were going to be my motivation to turn my head and life around and fight and just simply not fucking give up. And just from that initial thought alone, it became about fighting for something bigger than me. It became about fighting for the people I loved and making sure it wasn't all for nothing. And this is where I really found the purpose, the love, and I don't know, just like a fire inside of me to say no, this can't go on any longer. And one of my favourite songs that I listen to has the line, "You have a purpose to make you say, did I do that?" And by the way, it's The Greatest Showman remix. And I just promised myself that I would make myself a better person from all of this. So the first step was to find a purpose, to not give up. Find something bigger than you to fight for, and that could be something, that could be someone, that could be family, or it could simply be trying to make up for mistakes that you've made. For me, it was all of them things, and it's just an idea for someone that is struggling to find reasons to fight or reasons to try and get out of the hole they may be in. They're just some ideas, and they're personally the things that drove me forward. Now, the thing that sucks is finding that purpose or that fight is probably the easy part. You know, now the real work was about to begin. So I did. I went to a therapist, and actually, funny enough, I'm sidetracking a little bit, but this is a huge reason why I did all the half marathons, and I wanted to raise money for charity. Was because actually the sessions were 3 weeks apart, and someone who is in desperate need to talk to someone should be able to do that. So that's why, if you ever need a neutral person to talk to, look up the charity Mind, because they're supposedly they're there 24/7 if you need someone to talk to, or it's an alternative to, like I say, waiting 3 weeks to speak to someone on the NHS, which I think is a joke, especially for someone that is potentially a danger to themselves and genuinely needs it. So sidetracked. So I did that. I took them steps. I also took the steps of going on antidepressants. But I knew after a couple of months they weren't for me personally. and I just wasn't going to sit around or waiting for some magical feeling or change of mind or mood to come about. I knew I had to do something myself and fight for it. And for me personally, a tablet or just speaking to someone alone wasn't going to do that. That wasn't going to change or fix anything. So that was something that I kept in mind, is that there's no magic remedy or straightforward way to do this other than working your ass off. So that's what kind of led to me going into all my research and looking at things and reading vlogs and blogs. And it was really about trying to not just train my mind, but I guess understand it. And like I said, I did this through reading hundreds of articles online, books, blogs, vlogs. And I guess one of the analogies I try and keep in mind is that if you want to get stronger or if you want to get fitter, what do? You train. You either lift weights 5 times a week or you run every day. That's how you get fitter. That's how you get stronger. So if you want to improve your mental health or completely change your mindset, you've got to fucking work for it every single day, just as if you were trying to improve your cardiovascular fitness or your strength, all that shit. And this is where using them reasons to fight and that purpose is so vital, because it keeps you going. Now obviously, like I said in a different video, for me personally, I completely took accountability of the mess I was in. And there are two sides to it. There's one side where you could truly have like a serotonin imbalance, which leads to your depression and anxiety. But still, even if that's the case and you still don't do anything, if you don't try and at least get help, speak to a doctor, speak to a therapist, speak to a fucking friend, or speak to someone you know may have gone through a similar thing, then you only have yourself to blame when things go tits up and get worse. Do something before it's too late, before things very important to you or literally your life in general comes crashing down on you harder than you would have ever imagined. So I accepted that this first side could be a possibility, hence trying the antidepressants, speaking to a therapist, and trying cognitive behavioural therapy, which for me, I feel like they helped with the anxiety and the panic attacks. I do actually feel like they helped to an extent. But in terms of depression, I just refused to accept that it was just a serotonin deficiency. And like I said before, I dug so much deeper than that. And that's when I found so many flaws in my mentality. That's when I identified so many toxic habits and false notions. And I did this through, I kept a journal of my thoughts every day, where I'd speak about how I'd behaved or felt in certain situations and past experiences, and how I'd reacted to them, what adversities I'd come across. And I asked myself, okay, did I actually face up to these? And did I actually do anything about it? And for a lot of the things, the answer would have been no. So for me, I only had myself to blame for the state my head was in. so I continued to keep reading and learning, and like I said, there's so many articles online, and which was so relatable, and it was a bit of a wake-up call, if anything. And I learned from all this that I had a lot of change to do. I had a lot of questioning my mentality and my thought processes, and like I said, when it all became so much clearer, which it will eventually, if you keep fighting, things will get clearer. I felt stupid by the end of this process, because it was no wonder my self-esteem was so low, and that I'd now found myself in this place. I do think some people may be born blessed with, or maybe they're not born with it, or that they're raised with such a positive mind and outlook, and a perspective of life which is so rich and rewarding. But for others, and I include myself in this, I think we have to create it. We have to either retrain or reprogram our brain, because I think either our childhood, our environment, past experiences can shape our mind and our mentality in such a negative way that it creates a real toxic and dangerous way of thinking and living life, and it's a way which can make you really prone to suffering from depression if you're thinking in such a way for a long time. And when I identified that this is potentially the case, I just said, okay, then it has to change, and I have to challenge it. And with the right motivation, that fight and that purpose driving you can do it. Like I said, I'm still in the process of trying to do that. God, I don't even know how many months down the line now. 10 months down the line? No, a bit longer. Almost a year. But it doesn't stop. The same reasons what made me start fighting in the first place are the ones that keep me going. Because they're so strong, and yeah, you can change everything. It's never too late to change, and I think sometimes you need to be told that. For me, it wasn't until my dad told me it, and at first I didn't believe him, and I understand if you don't believe me, but keep telling yourself it, keep speaking it into existence, and just try, just see what happens. I think you all would have probably seen a quote before about how happiness is a choice, and I remember finding this quote so infuriating, because I remember thinking, okay, if that's the case, then I fucking choose to be happy. I choose that, please. Why is nothing happening? And like I say, dig deeper, and it made me realise, for me especially, and probably for others, it might be a human thing, who knows, but it is so easy to make the choice to think negatively. For me, it was so easy to let financial difficulties or fear of the future, not knowing what career path I wanted to go down, not knowing what was going to happen, all this fear dictated my life. It dictated my mood. A shit day at work being tired, something going wrong, adversity coming up in life, it's so easy to complain and say, why is this happening to me? That's the easiest thing to do. That's a choice we often make, and I think it's a choice someone who's depressed makes easier than anyone else. But on the other hand, do you know what's hard? It's hard to go home after a long day and sit down and make a list of all the positive things you have coming up. All the reasons you have to smile and be grateful for. That actually takes a bit of fucking work. And that's the choice you have to make. Are you going to choose the easy route and think about all the things that are going wrong? Or are you going to sit down and you're going to get a notepad or write on your computer or whatever, and you're going to think, actually, you know what? Things aren't that fucking bad. I actually have a lot of things to be grateful for. I have a lot of things to smile about. I have a lot of good things in my life. Because at the end of the day, look, you're not selfish. Or there's not something wrong with you for feeling down and depressed, but at the end of the day, if you have a phone, a laptop, you can read, an education, a house, then we're one of the lucky ones, and we do have reasons to smile and reasons to be grateful. And I kind of look at it as, let's say you have two dogs, you have the nice golden retriever, or you have a black dog, a nasty black dog. Whichever one you feed more is going to get bigger, is going to grow, and is going to consume you. So what choice are you going to make? Are you going to make the choice of feeding the black one and letting it grow to an extent where it's uncontrollable, which is what happens and then leads to that depression? Or are you going to feed the golden retriever and really challenge the way you're thinking and say, hey, no, we're not going down that path. Stop. As much as you have to find your motivation or that love to keep you fighting, you have to try and become inspired. And I honestly don't know how I became inspired eventually, but I know that I dedicated at least one day of the week to either look at videos on YouTube that can really help me, like inspire me, like whether it was relatable or people that have been in tough situations or struggled with mental health. It was inspiring. And you know, one thing I'm going to say is that they're not going to magically help. They're not just going to magically inspire you and keep you inspired. A few people who really were inspiring to me was The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. He's a brilliant person to look up, and he speaks quite openly about mental health and his struggles. And I mean, if the freaking Rock can do it, open up and speak and talk and fight through this, then fucking hell, you can do it. That just proves there's absolutely no shame in feeling like this. And like I said, though, they're not going to magically change you. And because I'd watched similar videos or seen some for years, and yeah, they were inspiring and they were intriguing, but they didn't affect me the same way they do now, because I was so closed-minded in the way I was thinking. And you cannot change or you cannot grow until you're truly ready or willing to. And actually, I dare say, you have to really vulnerably open yourself up to it all mentally, and it's hurtful at times, because you might read something or watch something and you're like, fuck, I've made them mistakes, and it actually is such a painful eye opener, because it's hard to be proud of yourself when you realise how many wrongs you've done. But regardless, I'm a firm believer that a person will only change when they're truly ready and open to it, and that was the case for me. I'd been actually told for a number of years by various people that I needed to get some help, or I needed to accept that something might not quite be right, and I wasn't ready for it. I found it really degrading and upsetting to be told that, and I responded really bad to this. I just wasn't very nice. Like I say, a word of warning. For me personally, like I said, deep down I knew something wasn't quite right for a while, but I did nothing. And I didn't open myself up until it was almost too late. And actually, for a lot of things it was too late. And I lost a lot of things really important to me, and I'll never get them back because I did nothing. So do something. Okay, this is a big one for me. Like I said, with me personally, I really lost joy and fun and happiness in everything. With it was big things or little things. And so what I had to do and it worked eventually, but you have to work and fight so hard to really try and find joy and purpose in the little things. And you know what? A big thing which helped me do this: share your achievements, be proud, have pride, and just think life really is about what you make it. So you know what? If you've ran your first ever 5k, share it. I don't give a fuck. Share it on social media, share it with your friends, share it with your loved ones, share it with your families. And this can literally be anything. If you've decorated your house, you're on holiday with your girlfriend and boyfriend, you've lost 2 pounds, anything, share that shit. Like, find joy and purpose in them little things. It is so important, because if you can't do that, then what is the point of living? What's the fucking point? And I accepted. I was like, I probably annoyed a shit ton of people with my half marathon posts, or every Sunday I'd post about football or soccer, depending who's watching this. But it really helped me find joy in the things I was doing. And actually, you know what? It gave me a little bit of extra motivation. It gave me pressure, which gave me a purpose. And I felt alive. And another thing which I found really helped was like making videos like this. Having something to work towards really helped me, and it still helps me. And I think if you are struggling, if you're in a black hole of depression, despair, anxiety, try and find joy in the little things. Give yourself a purpose. Life is what you make it. And I don't care. You can always find something to work towards. You can always set yourself a goal, whether it's a long-term, short-term. For me personally, I had to very much operate a day, a week, a month at a time. When I think too far ahead, I get overwhelmed. And at the time when I was really down and depressed, that was too much. So I took things a day at a time, a week, a month. And I did. I climbed and I fought my way out one step at a time. And the more I practiced, the more I shared them things every Sunday, the more it became real. The more I actually genuinely started to feel joy in the things that I was doing. And all of a sudden, kind of out of nowhere, I had a reason, I had a purpose, because I gave myself it. And that's what you have to do. I mean, look, we can't all be superstars or celebrities, but what we can be is we can be proud, and most of all find love and joy in the little things. Otherwise, like I say, what's the point? And no matter what, you are entitled to share what you achieve or what good is going on. You're entitled to share that shit. Period. You know what? People may hate, people might not like it, people might mock you, people might say, what the fuck? Fucking weirdo. But do you know what? They're irrelevant. Because it's about making the best version of you. And that version of you is what's going to be important to the people in your life that actually matters, you know. Not the people that might talk shit or mock you. Like, so what? Irrelevant. It's about you. It's about making the best you. So run with it. Share your achievements. Find purpose. Find joy in them. Yeah. Try it. So, like I said, talking to others is a real big help. And sometimes you'll have a conversation with someone who you think won't understand or won't have a clue what you're going through, and you'll be surprised. And one person got in touch with me. You know, he could clearly see things weren't okay, and he reached out to me, and he told me how he'd gone through something similar, and he offered me advice. And what he did, and something which I followed, I took the advice, was you have to work out, and you know what, I'd write it down too, the little things which either make you happy or unhappy. And this could be the little things such as in your day-to-day life. So this can be something as literally as simple as making your bed or keeping your room tidy. And just this one tiny seed of idea thought blossomed into something so much bigger. And it made me realise that actually when I was being proactive, when I was being busy, let's say if I had something on my mind and I knew something that needed to be done, that just cracking on and doing it made me feel happier. It was the little things like that. And so just one simple little conversation opened up a whole new door for me. And rather than just sitting and moping around on my depressed ass doing nothing, once again, don't do nothing, I stepped the fuck up and I started doing the little things. And that's and like I said, another huge problem I realised with myself from the past, that it was that when something needed to be done, when a conversation was needed to be had, a tough decision had to be made, I didn't do it, and I let a problem, an issue or a task manifest, which just leads to more stress. It leads to more cortisol in your body, which just leads to more dark feelings. Don't conform to social norms or expectations if they make you unhappy. Something that was really difficult for me was that, you know, people close to me really affected me in a way, and I forgive them. I completely forgive them, because I know they were only looking out for my best interests, and it's just as much on me for not sticking up for myself or what I believed in. Well, actually, you know what? I'm gonna put it blunt. I didn't have a fucking backbone. Once again, no wonder self-esteem is so low. No wonder depression takes over. You have to follow what makes you happy, not what others think you should do. At the end of the day, you're not living their life. You have to live yours. And that's what made things worse for me, because I was so weak and I just succumbed to what they were telling me. I just took it as gospel, and that's how I was meant to be. But that made me unhappy, and I didn't stand up for myself. And I know it's very easy to feel under pressure, to, you know, maybe want to find a career or you know, there might be a set way of doing something. But if you don't feel like that's you, or you're not ready for it, don't do it, because it will make you unhappy. We get one life. You have to live it on your terms. And I'm not saying be stupid and do something fucking crazy like that. No. But don't live your life the way someone else is telling you to do it. Take advice. People are wiser than you for sure, but at the end of the day, whatever decisions you make, you have to live with for the rest of your life. So don't make them for the wrong reason, or because someone told you to do it. One thing I really wanted to touch up on, and this is often when depression is evident and all that, and people will look into, okay, I think I'm depressed, what do I do? How do I get out of this? A general advice is to start exercising and everything like that. Go to the gym, you know, which is understandable. It's scientifically proven to release endorphins, improve serotonin levels and mood and all of that, which is okay, fair enough, take that on board. However, one of the most stupid and huge mistakes I made back in 2017 was that when I was really struggling with anxiety in particular, like I was scared to sleep. I felt something was wrong. I was having heart palpitations. I was waking up in the middle of the night with my heart beating out my chest, and I was scared. I was seriously anxious, and I think depression was creeping in as well, because I knew I could see the clouds coming in. So at the time, I dedicated everything to transforming my body, and actually I think I have the video on this same YouTube account, and I dedicated my time to transforming my body, and I thought that this would work. I thought that this would fix everything. I was so fucking wrong. Yeah, I looked great. I did. I looked great. But I did not feel great. My body was never a reflection of my mind. And yeah, I looked great on the outside, but oh my gosh, I was an absolute mess on the inside. You can spend as much time in the gym and training your body as you like, but if you're never training your mind or tackling your demons or your toxic habits, all of that shit, you will never truly grow, and they will come back to haunt you. I promise you that they will come back to haunt you 10 times worse. So yes, spend time in the gym, it's good, but don't neglect the importance of working on your mind just as much as your body. And that was the biggest mistake and false notion I made back in 2017. So, going back a little bit, because I didn't give up, because I started opening up, because I started talking, a lot of good things came from this. My relationship with my parents really improved. It led to me and my dad becoming so much closer, and cliche as always, but one thing he told me was that I get one life and that I should follow my heart. And like I said, as cliche as that is, that opened up a new trail of thought which still follows me and still always just gives me a warm feeling. And someone else that I know who's always inspired me, simply because they've never been afraid to just say it how it is. They don't beat around the bush, and if they want something, they go for it. No hesitation. Serious balls. And them two people in particular made me decide, when I was really trying to reprogram, retrain, create a new mindset, was that I wanted to live a life with no regrets. Because I'm going to be honest, I'm always going to have some regrets now that happened during the time of being depressed, and then regrets are going to stay with me forever. And I decided I had to recreate or reprogram my brain, however you want to put it. And that's what I had to do to get myself out of this hole. And I didn't want, I'm already going to have enough regrets. I didn't want to live with any more regrets. So it really helped whenever I had them little thoughts of anxiety regarding a situation, thinking, should I be doing this? Should I send this message? Should I go on this trip? Should I take this risk? You know what? Shoot your shot and live life to the fullest. And if it fails, fuck it. You can keep your head held high and be proud. And that right there is such an important thing for someone who is trying to overcome this shitty illness, is that you have to find a way to be proud of yourself, build your self-esteem, fight back, tell them voices in your head that you're a piece of shit or that you're worth nothing. Say no, you're wrong. Like I say, life's what you make it. Live it to the fullest. Shoot your shot. Be proud. Just go for it. Seriously. Now look, I'm not saying you can just go out and buy a new car and be silly or stuff like that. But I'm on about like the silly little things in life that you let dictate your life or you hesitate over. And trust me, like the little things, the little victories from day to day, week to week, month to month, they all add up to something so much bigger and greater. And a way of thinking that I started to have when I was finding myself getting out of this place is that if you've really struggled, which you might be struggling right now, you might be at the start of it, at the end of it, in the middle of it. If you've really struggled, you've probably gone through a time where you might not have wanted to be here anymore. But not now. You don't feel like that now. You're not going to feel like that again. You're going to make sure this time makes you a better and stronger person. So fuck it. Shoot your shot and give it everything. Just don't let them little seeds of doubt dictate or control your life, because they can stop you from experiencing so much good. Like, just trust me. I don't know they're there, but challenge them, question them. Like I said before about how being super proactive was what really helped me. Like, don't feel guilty when you have or need them days where I don't really know what to call them. I kind of call them just having like a little mental health or break day. But it's where you just say, okay, we're going to slow things down today. Like, either write things down, things that are on your mind, read, or maybe just say, tick off some chores that have been on your mind during work or the gym, something like that. Even if it's something as stupid as laundry, like, it's so important not to let yourself become overwhelmed, because I don't know whether that's me personally or whether that's someone who may be suffering. But like, if you need to have these little days, or you have to do something to try and keep your mind at peace, which I think is really important, is having, like I say, imagine when you're trying to recover from something like depression, like you do, it's really important to have your mind as clear and peaceful as possible. So if there is something on your mind, or things that need to get done, sack off the gym, sack off something for a day to get them things out of the way, to keep your mind clear. And like, when I was in a really bad place, this is something I couldn't do. I couldn't see or find any solutions to any of my problems, and I remember becoming so overwhelmed with fears of the future and financial problems that not only did it change me, I took it out on the people I loved, and I just wish I knew what I do now, where sometimes you just have to take a step back and breathe. You have to challenge your perspective. Like I said, which dog are you feeding? Golden Retriever or Black Dog? And like I say, it took a super long time, but it's something I'm much better at now. And now when bad things happen or tough situations come up, rather than be overwhelmed, I really just try and look at it differently now. I try and look at it as a big challenge, as a hurdle, as an obstacle to overcome. Actually, in a weird way, I almost sometimes treat it as a game, because that's just how I deal with it. And even with something as being knee deep in debt, I treat it as a game. And that's what helped really motivate me. I gave myself like weekly targets to reach, and if I reached them targets, it was a really good feeling. And like I said, rather than being overwhelmed by these things, I found, in a weird way, I found joy overcoming them. You know what? Whenever you're put in a situation or have an obstacle to overcome, or you're having a really rough time, you'd say good. And you'd be like, what? How is that good? And what I got from that is, it's good because when you get through that, when you overcome that obstacle or that hurdle or that challenge, when you get through it, which you will, you're going to be a much stronger, better and wiser person because of it. And that is a really healthy and successful perspective I really found helped me. Now, from another more personal point of view, and something that I've only just come across super recently, and it's something I definitely would have mentioned in my last video regarding, toxic habits and false notions and unhealthy ways of thinking. And this is something I'm personally kind of disappointed in myself about. But you have to learn how to forgive. And I'm going to quote a bit on the thing that I read and the thing that I came across. But they speak about how forgiving someone is just as much for yourself as well, because if you can't forgive someone, you're living in the past, and you're holding on to things people have done to you, and all this will do, if you can't forgive someone and you're holding on to these bad things, all it will do is hinder your growth and disrupt your own path in life. And reading that and that thought alone, like I said, it kind of makes me upset, and it makes me mad at myself, because I was terrible for it. And actually, you know what, I've still been terrible for it this very year, because I was holding on to things at times that were irrelevant. They were genuinely in the past, and I was still holding on to it, and all I did was let them hinder what was the good things that were happening now. And they had nothing to do with today, the present, the future, and all the potential better days that were to come. Just to like elaborate and go further on what they said and their advice they gave to do is, and like I said, this really hits home for me personally, and I'm annoyed with myself, but anyway. So remember when you've made a mistake or you've said words to someone, and how there are times, for me personally it's all the time, but on how there are times you wish you could take back something you've done, something you've said, something you've done, and how much you wish you could undo that and take it back. And even though you may have apologised and they'd forgiven you, you still carry them feelings of guilt of hurting someone. And them kind of mistakes, they follow you in life. And I don't care if you've made these mistakes whilst depressed or not. It's not an excuse. No matter what scenario you're in mentally, it's not an excuse. And it's something you have to take accountability for and change. So like they say, so think back to how much you beat yourself up and regretted things, and how badly you wish you could have took something back. And I think you'll be able to forgive much easier, and it will be so much healthier for yourself if you can do this. And look, sometimes you have to drop your pride. But yeah, reading that a couple of weeks ago really made me think. And like I said, if you find that hard, I can relate, because I was terrible for it. But now, one thing I'm really trying to do, which I feel, like I said, in 2 weeks is already helping, is forgive. If it's not relevant anymore, or it does not dictate anything to do with your future or the present, forgive. Let it go. Don't live in the past, because it really could hinder the potential future. So a common expression you might come across when trying to help yourself is that if you want to help yourself, you should help others. And I remember what I did was, when I was deciding I really wanted to change, I made a list of the person I wanted to be, and like the characteristics that I wanted to have. And it made me think of who and how I wanted to be, and I did, you know, when I felt I was strong enough, that's when I decided I wanted to try and make a difference. And like I said, even if you make a difference to just one person's life, like I said, we can't all be superstars and celebrities and all of that, but if you can make a difference to just one person's life, you've made a difference. And you know, that did. So whether it was creating these videos and trying to be an example of how sharing this shit doesn't make you weaker. I said I'm going to do it. Whether it was doing the half marathons 4 and 4 weeks for charity, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it because I felt like I was in a position and that was the person I wanted to be. It gave me a purpose. And in a weird kind of way, in like psychological terms, there's something called a hero's complex. And I always said to myself, when I wrote down on this list, I said, if I was ever in a position to help, I hoped that I'd do it. And until you're in a situation, you never know. And I actually had a situation this summer where there was a fire. It wasn't huge. It wasn't anything like that. But without thinking, just on pure instinct, like I said, I didn't even have to think about it. I decided, oh, you know what, I can do something here. So I did. I started putting it out. I didn't really care about myself at the time. I just thought, I just felt like it was the right thing to do, and that moment of doing something instinctively just proved to me. I don't think I would have done that a year or 2 years ago. I'm not sure, and it proved to me that actually, you know what, I'm getting somewhere. I really actually am starting to recreate a new version of me, one that I can eventually be proud of. I'm not there yet. For reasons, I'm not there yet, but like that example alone was a really positive step for me that, you know what, not giving up is so worth it. Don't skip or ever forget this chapter of your life. Remember it and embrace it and use it as your driving force. Another quote from the song, turn the pain into power, and all that shit. And I know that right now you may be struggling, and I actually remember feeling like an emotionless robot. Actually the only emotion I had was sadness, and I remember giving up on everything. About a year ago, actually. It was literally about a year ago where I really gave up on everything. But eventually, because I didn't give up, because I eventually found that reason to fight and that inspiration and that love, it was so strange because over time, I went from feeling nothing I went from being a shell of a person to feeling emotions stronger than ever, and I felt so alive again. Not necessarily happy. I wouldn't say I felt happy, but I felt alive. I felt like I had a purpose again, and that was enough for me, and that was progress. You have to be patient. And I still do. I use the whole mess that I created and what happened as inspiration every day. It's like a constant reminder or voice in my head which tells me to do what needs to be done. It keeps me fighting, and it's just constant proof and evidence that how a struggle or this illness in particular can make you so much stronger and better when you find a way to fight back. And trust me, you will find a way if you don't give up. You will find a way. And like I say, a year ago, I felt like my life had come to an end, was worthless, had no purpose, and that I'd lost everything. And now I can sit here 12 months later and I can honestly say that I think I've achieved more in the last 12 months than I've achieved any other year in my life. And, you know, in a funny old way, I think struggling with depression may have been something that I needed. In a weird way, it may have been the best thing that ever happened to me. And because it forced me to change. It forced me to realise all the wrongs, and I was going down a dark path. I was going down the wrong path. And what happened to me forced me to change. And you know what I'd say? In the past 8 months, some of my wildest dreams came true. Like, in fact, actually, you know what? Even more than wildest dreams. Like, you know, when you imagine a best case scenario, in the past few months, like, it was better than that. And that is the proof I need that life's worth living and that giving up is never an option. And look, I'm not going to say I'm perfect or I'm there yet, because I've still messed up, and I've still slipped into bad habits or had bad days, but that's all they've been. They've been a bad day, not a bad week, not a bad month, not a bad 6 months, and how it was in the past. And I've still got a long way to go. In fact, if I'm totally honest, I still don't feel like I truly have my personality and confidence back, but I know if I don't give up, it's going to come back in time. And yeah, like I say, I'm not going to magically bullshit you and say after 8-10 months or whatever I've magically made it, because I've not done that yet, and I'm still really paying the price for past mistakes, toxic habits and behaviour before and during the time when I was in a bad place. And no, I only have myself to blame for that, but that's what keeps me fighting, to keep building a better me and trusting that good things are to come if you simply don't give up. And that is the one thing that this year, in fact, it's not even this year, but even this summer, that's the one thing it taught me, that the good days are worth every single fucking second of the shit hard ones. They're worth it. So keep fighting. One of the ways that I'm trying to live, and the thought that keeps me happiest, and this can, like I said, this can relate to anything. This can relate to a job, a relationship, a sport, anything, is that even if something doesn't work out the way you wanted or the way you imagined, as long as you can hand on your heart say that you tried your best and you put every effort you had into it, and then you can keep your head held high and you can be proud. I'm just trying to be an example that, look, it doesn't make you weak. And in fact, actually, you know what, I feel like I'm a stronger person. You know, actually, I feel like I'm stronger than ever now because of this experience. And I wish I could say I'm happy, but I'm not like quite there consistently as much as I'd like to be. And I'm not sure whether that's because I'm still carrying a lot of guilt or regret, but that's something I have to work on, and I have to keep trying to get my spirit, personality, self-belief, all of that back. But there's ways to do it. You just gotta keep working, like I say. You gotta train for it. But genuinely, I can say without hesitation, and I can look myself in the mirror and I can say I'm not fucking weak. And anything I put my mind to, I can achieve. And I believe the whole experience with depression has helped me create that. And it's just about always having something to work towards and be inspired by, and keep that love, keep that motivation, whatever whatever it is, if it works, run with it. There is nothing worth having that comes easy. So don't give up. As always, please believe me, life is worth living. And it's never too late to change or keep growing. It's never too late. Find that fight, find that love, find that inspiration, and fucking run with it. Just fucking run with the wind and watch yourself achieve things you didn't think were possible. And like I said, for me personally, because I did that, some of literally like my wildest dreams came true. And I wish I could like give you my brain or my thought to like convince you that that miracles happen when you don't give up. I know I've said this before in a previous video, but if the mind is strong enough to create this darkness and these horrible feelings and thoughts in the first place, then it is sure as hell strong enough to overcome it, to find a way out, to fight your way out of it. And just don't underestimate just how strong you are. You have to believe in yourself, and if you can't do it for yourself, don't underestimate the power of love or inspiration or motivation, because it can drive you so far forward. And sometimes you just got to believe, and you got to have faith, and you got to have hope. And just keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. Let go of the mistakes and regrets as best as you can, and use them to make you better. Use the hard times to make you stronger. Overcome the hurdles, the obstacles, and just keep going. Keep going. I think if you've had so many years of doubting yourself, doubting things, doubting life, thinking in a negative way, it's about time for a change. It's about time to think differently. And I strongly believe if you want something bad enough, you'll go out and you'll get it, and you'll find a way if you want it bad enough. If you want to change, if you want to think differently, if you want to achieve something, if you want crazy dreams to come true, you'll find a way. And if you put your mind to something and you dedicate yourself to that every day, then you'll achieve it. I promise you. But start small. In the first stages, it's all about a day at a time, step by step. But it is, you have to tell yourself every day, I'm not fucking giving up. I'm not a quitter. And you know what? I'm better than what I think I am. I hope that if you've watched this, then it can be either a wake-up call or just another reminder to keep going, or it can be a laugh and be like, fuck me, Ash is an idiot. Either way, I hope it's positive. Alright, And with that, it's late, and I'm out.